Perhaps no book of the Bible has garnered more attention and sparked more imagination than the book of Revelation. Its strange beasts and vivid imagery have left lasting imprints on the minds of many. For almost as long as the book has existed, Christians have wrestled with the meaning of Revelation's imagery. To understand this book, many Christians have looked back in history, identifying events such as the destruction of Jerusalem by the Romans in AD 70 as fitting much of its prophetic imagery. Others have looked towards the future, anticipating their fulfillment surrounding the events of Christ's second coming. Still others have understood this book as a symbolic picture spanning the entire age of the church, teaching general truths about God's kingdom, or as making specific predictions of major events that impact the church until Christ returns. No matter how we interpret Revelation, it is important to remember that this book is a record of the vision John received while on the island of Patmos. Although it may seem strange to us, John writes in an ancient literary style known as Apocalyptic prophecy. Like other apocalyptic writings, Revelation uses a great deal of symbolism to communicate to its readers to trust in God's sovereignty, even when living in a culture that opposes God and His people. It is rich with allusions to the Old Testament, containing more than the rest of the New Testament combined. Enemies of God's people are depicted in terms of Old Testament enemies of Israel, like Egypt and Babylon. Both God's sovereignty and just judgments reflect language and imagery found in Isaiah, Ezekiel, Daniel, and other prophets. And God's faithful people look forward to a new, restored creation reminiscent of Genesis. As well as being apocalyptic prophecy, Revelation is also a letter. It was first written to 7 historical churches in the Roman province of Asia in the 1st century. While we cannot be certain how they interpreted Revelation's prophecies, if we read this book through the lens of their culture and experiences, then at the very least we will better understand its message for us today. For many of its residents, the Roman Empire offered a comfortable life. In exchange for allegiance to the emperor and adherence to social norms, people could carry on with their lives as they pleased. For many, this meant supporting their family by working in a skilled trade such as the dyeing of high-end purple cloth in Thyatira, stonemasonry in Pergamum, or in the ferry industry in the important city of Smyrna. In many of these industries, workers banded together to form trade guilds. These guilds offered many benefits to their members, including education, job security, and even financial aid in times of need. In addition, they were places of social connection and camaraderie with like-minded people. As was typical in the ancient Roman world, religious practices played a central role in all facets of life. Trade guilds were no different, and often centered around honoring one or more of their patron deities, possibly including an image of the emperor himself. These religious activities included elaborate banquets and events that resulted in all sorts of unruly behavior. In the Roman Empire, becoming a follower of Jesus was a major decision, as it meant changing allegiances. It no longer accepted the emperor of Rome as the highest authority. Instead, Jesus Christ was the ruler over all the kings of the earth, and he was seated on the throne of God. In Revelation, Christians are depicted as lampstands. They are to shine the light of Christ to the world, dispelling the darkness and drawing people to Jesus. As they matured in Christ and grew in assurance of their hopeful future in Him, their values shifted to prioritize His kingdom, even above their own interests. As a result, they began to stand out from the rest of society. They withdrew from traditional religious practices and no longer pursued money and promiscuity. This marked a clear break from the expectations of the surrounding culture. While all first-century Christians faced pressure to conform to society's expectations, those in the trade guilds experienced this tension in a unique way. Because the guilds centered around honoring false gods, it placed these Christians in a difficult spot. Withdrawing from these activities would raise suspicion and could lead to ostracization from their community, loss of their livelihoods, and even persecution. So, some reasoned that a compromise was justified. They could continue to believe in Jesus privately, but publicly they could uphold the cultural expectations. By participating in the religious activities of the guilds, they would escape ridicule or persecution and ensure financial security for their families. However, Revelation provides a warning to these Christians. Lampstands that no longer shine the light of Christ no longer serve their intended purpose, and unless they change, they run the danger of being removed altogether. This book reveals the reality of the spiritual battle between the forces of Satan, known as the dragon, and Jesus, the victorious Lamb that was slain. Though Revelation can be a confusing book, we should not forget that it is meant to encourage Christians by building hope and security, not fear and anxiety. Throughout the book, whenever opposition arises, God's victory always comes into view for those who faithfully hold to the testimony of Jesus and persevere through difficulty. Like Jesus, we conquer evil through faithful obedience to Him. We can shine His light despite opposition, even in the face of death, for in death we inherit the crown of life. When we fulfill our call to be Christ's lampstand, we will experience the victory of the Revelation effect.
If you found this video helpful and would like to see more content like this, please consider donating on our website. Also, please like the video, comment, and subscribe to our channel. Thanks for watching.